Hey, my name is Jonathan Miller. I am the producer of Publisher Parish, and I'm also the president and CEO of a company called Parsonex and Elation Media, and really excited to be here. The synopsis of the film Publisher Parish is that a professor who is obsessed with getting tenure, and I should tell you that prior to this film, I'd heard of tenure. I didn't really understand the pressures that were associated with tenure and what is all involved. But it's a 7-year process where they basically have to prove their worth and publish academic articles and do a bunch of work, and then they're reviewed by a board. So there's tremendous pressure, but he is absolutely obsessed with getting tenure. And the dean hates him. He hates the dean. That's a great conflict in the film. Great acting by James Shanklin, Timothy McCracken. And on the day he's supposed to turn in his tenure interview, he accidentally backs over and kills a student, which is an accidental thing. And then from that point on, he makes a series of bad decisions, which makes it a dark comedy. And it progresses from there with, I think, a lot of twists and turns and good plot lines, good writing, good language, good characters. And somebody on the red carpet said that Jim Bowden, who's played by Timothy McCracken, that he verbalizes what we all think in our head when we're getting bad service or frustrated with situations. And it's funny, I've been involved with the project for 3 years, and a little over 2 years. And I thought that's exactly what it is. It is like he says all the things that we think in our head, but we keep our mouths shut. And so that's what makes it funny. And I think it's a comedically rewarding film. And yeah, so we're excited that people seem to be responding well to it so far. It's a great question. So I am the president and CEO of a company called Parsonex, which is an investment firm. And we have a bunch of different divisions. We do everything from wealth management to private equity. We have funds like development projects of multifamily. So we've been one of the fastest growing private firms for the last several years in the Americas, according to Financial Times. Not sure where they get that data, but that's what they say. And so we were doing really well. I always had a passion for the film industry, or really storytelling. When I was in college, I was a writer, and then I was a political science major, which is code for unemployed if you don't go to law school afterwards. And fortunately, my mother had me actually job shadow a couple of attorneys, and I said, yeah, maybe that's not what I want to do. So I went into business instead. And so I just recently became an empty nester, and my plan was always to pursue the film industry a lot more when they left. But a few years ago, when everything was going on with streaming and just the market was growing so fast, I said, man, I don't want to be waiting till basically right now to be getting started. And so we started to kind of pursue just looking at scripts, looking at ideas. And so we had a concept that is now way on the back burner, because now that I understand how it works, I understand how long development can take. In fact, I don't even know if we'll ever make that original idea. I was introduced to David Liban, who is an Emmy award-winning producer. He had made some independent films. He's also the University of Colorado, Denver film department chair. And I was introduced to him as a writer, and I think he was given instructions: don't talk about anything else, just talk about what this CEO guy wants to, don't bring up anything else. But I'm the nice guy, and I said, do you have anything you're working on? And he said, well, actually, I am working on something. And during COVID, I wrote a script that's one of a bunch of, in first place in some contests. And I said, yeah, why don't you send it to me? And having read many, not, just be generous and say not great scripts, I read it that night. And I called him, I think the next day or a couple of days later, and I said, yeah, what are you doing with this film? And they were going to make it locally in Colorado with very little budget. And so I met with them a couple more times, kind of had to research a little bit about what would be involved in greenlighting it. And so I ultimately greenlit it myself as an investor and being involved as a producer. And we kind of had to decide parameters. And so he had kind of the creative final cut, and I had the business final cut, I guess, so to say. But it's been a great relationship with him. And it was, for me, just a fantastic experience to learn the industry and to learn the business. And it took me a while, because I know the investment side of the business, even though there was a lot to learn about film. There's a lot of similarities with regular, investment banking and private equity stuff, but there's a lot of differences too. And but learning the filmmaking side, David, was just a fantastic relationship working with him. I think we emailed and texted constantly through the entire project. I probably would have been on set more if I could have, but I was on, looked at the dailies every day. We talked every single day. just for years now. I sat in on the final edit. I mean, I was really involved with a lot of aspects, but at the end of the day, David Liban, he's also my producing partner. He's the director, the writer. We could have given him more titles than that on the film. But I think because of his experience and his being at the University of Colorado and having so many people that have this desire to make film, but in Colorado, it's just not a big film market. We just had so many people that were just wonderful to work with. The university actually let us shoot on the university during COVID, and it was during the period of time from when the students got out in December until I think the third week or fourth week of January. The days were short, so we had to make very good use of our time with being in the winter. But yeah, that's how I got involved, and that's kind of a little bit more than you asked, I guess. So first of all, David has got projects he's working on. I can tell you that. Obviously with the strike going on, we were excited that I think the writers' strike got resolved, and hopefully SAG is going to be shortly behind that. And so for myself, there's a couple things. I got into this business from a creative aspect, and that's what I wanted to do. Just to tell stories, and people always say, was it some deep meaning? I said, I just want to tell stories that are fun, right? Like that I enjoy, that I would want to see. In fact, dark comedy, by the way, is not probably my normal genre. I like a lot of dark, and I've watched a lot since I found out about dark comedy, but it probably isn't my go-to genre. I just thought this was a unique film, unique script, unique story. My wife absolutely is not a dark comedy fan. She loved it, and she loved every aspect of it. She was the first person to read it, actually. She finished it before I did. So I got in this business for the creative sides, but pretty early on, I started seeing the financial connections because we're an investment firm that's doing very well. And so I've used the Godfather quote, and I said, just when I think I'm out, they suck me back in. But I think it started more like just maybe we could do this little piece here, or this little piece there. What's emerged recently is we actually see it as a great opportunity for us because we love both sides of the business. And there aren't a lot of companies in the independent space like us that have the capabilities of the investment firm, really, which that means we're not like writing checks ourselves. We have the ability to source capital, structure it in the right way, underwrite good projects. So we're in the process of putting some systems in place that because we're regulated, it takes us a little longer to do that because we got to dot the I's and cross the T's. We don't get all the exemptions that non-registered or non-investment people get. But the end result of that is I think we're going to have some pretty cool systems in place for well-packaged films and be able to provide consulting for people who are looking to raise capital. And we built this great network. We already had a great network in the investment business, and we've just been introduced to such wonderful people who I think are kind of like myself, mid-career with a lot of experience. And so it's nice to say, hey, these are very accomplished people who've done some stuff, and we're looking at, hey, what can we do together for the next 20 years? On the creative side, I'm going very slow because I think that's kind of become like, hey, we can do this kind of pretty quickly by the terms of in the investment industry. I have optioned another script, but it's under development. We're sending out for coverage and doing those sort of things. So, for me, so David's got some a specific project and other projects that he's working on right now, and then I've optioned one script and I'm looking at a couple others. But my wife proofreads, not even proofreads. She just reads like 18 times faster than I do. So she has a good eye for story and stuff like that. So she reads all the scripts, and the very few that make it through, I read when I can get to them. Yeah, but I think for me, it'll be much more slower. Like, I'll probably produce a film every 2-3 years. If I love it, I don't have to. I'm in a situation where we've done very well in business, and I can just by choice make films that I want to make. But I will tell you this is one of my biggest observations. So I'm an entrepreneurial guy, grew up lower middle income, and I, built a business, which people see the glory now the last few years. They don't know the story. It took forever. And what I identify with filmmakers, especially aspiring filmmakers, is this entrepreneurial spirit and this creative side, that they want to do something. They don't know how. In fact, this is something I've been speaking at some conferences in the entertainment industry. At Holly Shorts, we did a panel that was really well liked. So to me, I love encouraging. People did that for me, right? And when I was trying to make it in business, I didn't know how to make it in business. And people who probably had no business spending time with me based on where I was at that point, they did. And so for me, it's just I enjoyed that a lot. I've always enjoyed coaching and being able to just speak to these people who are entrepreneurs that they're proceeding on faith. And what's interesting is when you get to where I'm at mid-career, it's different because when I was early on, I believed the people who told me I could do X, Y, Z, but I didn't know for sure, right? And now you get to a point where like, hey, you know what? I'm not saying for sure, nothing's for sure, but I am very, very confident that this is going to work, and that's going to work. And when people are trying to make it, they don't know. They're learning. So that's, I guess, beyond just film. It's kind of the business of film, but that's where we're at. And we've just been fortunate. We've met a lot of really great people. And I love how everybody collaborates in this industry. You come together over a project you love, and then you kind of go different ways, and you end up working with certain people again and other people not. And so I'm loving the industry, and it's been a fun journey. And I think this is the combination of these two things with wealth management, and this is probably what I'm going to do. I guess if I'm granted enough years for quite a while to work with. My daughter is actually in the film. I should tell you this. I don't know if I've made this public ever. So my daughter is Mia. She plays Mia, not a good character in the film. And she's fantastic. The feedback we got, like, I hate this character. At first, I'm like, oh my gosh, is this okay? Oh no, that's what they're supposed to do. So she's actually at Savannah College of Art and Design. So I guess people can figure that out, Miller, but she was actually cast independently of me. She did her own audition. And the funny thing is, I always say I got totally on board with it by the end, but I wouldn't have cast her. And people go, what do you mean? I said, I don't know. You don't read the script and go, that's my daughter. I should put her in that role. That's not the role you see your daughter in, but she did fantastic. But in theater, when she did professional theater in Colorado, it was always the case that whenever she auditioned and she'd worked with a director, but like, for some role, this is a shoo-in at this point, just whatever role they're going to put her in, because she was good to work with. And that's, I think, the nice thing is you get to come together and build long-term relationships with people that you like working with. And what a cool, and we're telling stories, right? We're making a difference. There's nothing that has that impact in people's lives other than personal human interaction, right? You get to, to take them through emotional highs and lows, make them laugh. We had a lot of people that said on the circuit when we were winning all these awards at these film festivals around the world, they said, thanks for making a comedy, because it's just entertaining. And to your point, it is different, right? You watch it, you go, wow, did not see that coming. And thanks for what you do. And thanks for tuning into this. If you're watching this, it's a pleasure to be here. A couple things. Number one, if you haven't seen the film Publish or Perish, you can go to Amazon Prime. You can rent it, like it, comment on it, share it with others. This is an independent film, so spreading the word and getting awareness of the film is the most important thing. So please share with others. That's a big help if you like the film. And then you can go to publishorperish.movie. Is the website where you have other links. Elation Media is the company that is actually the distributor and the production company that we have. And so you can email info@elation.media. And that we're going to be having some things that are going to come out, as far as I think we might have a newsletter subscription and a webinar series that'll really be on film finance and filmmaking for up and coming filmmakers, that'll hopefully plug them into some of the ecosystems that we're going to be able to put out. So more coming. We're new at this, but we've just had a blast meeting all the folks, and thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Once you get tenure, it's nearly impossible to lose your job.
Are you worthy